29 books, and 3 of them have been about monster blood. How could this stuff possibly come back again? First is the classic cover, which has some classic Jacobus Converse sneakers about to crush a playground. The 2000s reprint decides to make the slime a bit of a lemon-lime color. Seems to me we can't decide what color monster blood is supposed to be. The taglines say, "Evan's growing up way too fast," and "It's the slime that never dies." You got that right. The UK cover shows some more monster blood coming out of what I think is a trash can, and some scary eyeballs. So let's finally see what the green goo is up to today, and what game I possibly found for the background. With every sequel, I'll make sure to have a small recap, but if you want, please check out the old videos, and subscribe too. Remembering what happened before isn't too hard either, because the first chapter tells you what happened, though with a lot less detail. One last thing to save myself time and throat power, I'll be calling Monster Blood MB for most of the summary, so don't forget it. When I was writing this the first time, I wrote way too much, so let's make this quick. In the first book, our main boy, Evan Ross, is staying with his great aunt. He meets a girl named Andy and finds a can of monster blood at a souvenir shop. It's just some green slime, but then it starts growing. Turns out this black cat in the house was actually a sexy witch woman holding his great aunt hostage, and used a spell to make the MB grow. Evan's dog ate some earlier, grows to huge size, and pushes the witch into the MB, consuming her and returning everything to normal. In the second book, Evan has moved to a new home in Atlanta, with a new school, complete with a bully named Conan and an asshole teacher named Mr. Murphy. Andy shows up on her own vacation and reveals she kept the MB, which has started growing again, retconning all of the magic from the last book. She wants to use some on Cuddles, the class's hamster, but Evan's traumatized and tells her not to let it loose again. Well, too bad, she does it anyway. The hamster grows and almost kills some kids, but Evan decides to eat some himself, and grows to fight Cuddles. Conan runs away like a baby, and the MB expires during the stalemate, fixing the plot. Mr. Murphy thanks Evan by letting him keep Cuddles, and Andy shows up with a whole new can. Great! So now Evan's sufficiently traumatized, and Andy's an idiot. What could go wrong? So most of that first chapter was dedicated to a recap, and a nightmare. And the trauma is so deep he doesn't even want to eat his green jello on the table. For this book, Evan's responsibility is to babysit his cousin Kermit. Yeah, that's really his name. Kermit is basically young Sheldon, an 8-year-old super genius that does a bunch of chemical experiments. Aunt D pays Evan $3 an hour to watch the kid, which is a good $6.50 today. You wouldn't believe this, but Kermit doesn't play video games or go outside. He just stays in the basement all day doing experiments. So difficult. Yeah, I don't know what the hell Evan's smoking. He must be desperate for human interaction. But sometimes Andy comes over to hang out. Even that makes little sense, since Andy was only here while her parents were gone, unless this takes place immediately after the last one, and if so, what about Cuddles? Anyway, since Evan is in the 90s and has never even heard of the word autism before, he has no idea why Kermit's so weird, and he's headed to his house, only to be stopped by Kermit's neighbor, who else but Conan the bully. He yells at Evan for staring at his yard, but when Evan says he wasn't, he asks why not. So he's just looking for an excuse to beat Evan up. Kermit comes outside to say it's a free country. Evan can look at whatever yard he wants, so time to die. Except, Kermit has something to say. He tells Conan that he can't beat Evan up, or he'll pour this blue liquid on him, which just so happens to be an invisibility mixture. Usually what some consider a superpower, but permanent invisibility sounds like a curse. It distracts Conan for now, but he takes him up on the bluff. Pour it on me, I dare you. And so he does. Lo and behold, nothing happens, but just then, Conan's shirt starts to shrink, starting to choke him. It shrinks down until it completely disappears, and the boys have to stare at Conan's bare chest as he beats the living shit out of them. 2 days later, it's school, and we confirm that this does take place very soon after the last book because they mention Andy moved here instead of stopping here. The hamster? We'll see. What had happened was, when Evan came back to Aunt Dee's house, Kermit ratted Evan out for getting into a fight, like he wasn't the one who caused it. And I guess Kermit was spared, so now Dee's threatening to cut off Evan's income. So Andy has an idea to get some revenge. Why not put some monster blood in his food? Evan has PTSD and begs her not to, but she just puts some into his sandwich. Evan actually starts to have a full-blown panic attack, but Andy was only joking. It's hidden away on a shelf in her basement, never to get out. So now what, it just never grows if you keep it in the can? The rules surrounding this slime are ever-changing. After school, the lovely couple makes their way to Kermit's house, and they make absolutely sure you know that Andy has a bug bite on her arm. When they get inside, Kermit isn't there, but a horrible smell from the basement. No, not dead body smell, just an experiment. One that's about to explode. Kermit yells that it's going to blow just as Evan reaches the basement. He turns around to run, but slams right into Kermit's enormous sheepdog with the best name yet, Dogface. The immovable object that is Dogface knocks the wind out of Evan, and everyone laughs at him for falling for the "it's gonna blow" joke. The horrible smell is actually a homemade remedy for Dogface's hiccups, which may or may not work. Remember that extremely important bug bite? Well, Kermit says he can use some of that invisibility mixture on it. She says no, but Kermit has a gorilla grip on her arm. After some panic, the bug bite actually disappears. Not just invisible, but completely gone. Evan and Andy praise Kermit for his genius, that this could be a miracle cure for bug bites worth a fortune, but it's almost out, and Kermit didn't write down what he put in it. Wait, he doesn't write down what he does? Then what's the fucking point? Kermit goes back to making his dog hiccup cure, and even though Evan protests, Andy tells him to just let the genius work while she does her math homework. This activates some neurons in Kermit's brain, and he even offers to do Andy's math homework. Now isn't that unusual? He does it extremely quickly, and goes back to the mixture, ignoring Evan's pleas not to let the dog drink this orange slop. But he does anyway. Oh no! As you might expect, it actually works. No more hiccups. It was a simple mixture, really. Just a little tetrahydropadol with some hydrodroxylate crystals and an ounce of megahydrosyl oxyneuroplat. A child could do it. Typical fake nerd talk, complete with jumbled up chemical names. Suddenly, though, Dogface barks and starts jumping all over the place, tackling Kermit and licking him. The dog runs all over the house, knocking everything over, even the lab equipment. Aunt Dee comes in just in time to see the carnage. Evan was teasing the dog. Kermit starts crying like a baby, and nothing Evan or Andy can say will change Dee's mind. She's giving Evan one last chance to be a good babysitter, or this job is gone. On the bright side, at least they only have to clean the mess up and not pay for it. Also, Andy's at least happy Kermit did all of her math homework. Except, 2 days later, Andy calls Evan to say Kermit got them all wrong. Hilariously wrong. This kid's such an evil bastard, Evan decides it's time. Forsake the past. Use the monster blood. Actually, never mind. Evan calls her back and says not to use it, even if just to put it in one of his mixtures. So he makes her promise not to use it. I wonder how that'll turn out. On a sunny day, Andy and Evan practically drag Kermit outside to play, and eventually he agrees. Maybe he feels bad about being such a jerk lately. Kermit pours them all some orange soda, which they all drink quickly, failing to notice Kermit's weird smile. They throw the frisbee around a bit, poorly, and start laughing. A lot. So much they can't stop. How long are we gonna laugh like this? Probably forever. They try to grab Kermit, but he ducks away. Andy throws the frisbee at him poorly, soaring over to the neighbor's yard. This gets Conan's attention, and he takes Kermit's frisbee, threatening to beat the hell out of Evan and Andy for laughing at him, even if they can't stop. Conan flings the frisbee off where no one can find it, and the only reason Kermit can give as to why they're laughing is because they think Conan looks funny. So yeah, Pound Town. At night, Andy and Evan call each other. Evan is the human equivalent of a squished grape, and Andy's mostly okay. Conan doesn't hit girls, so he just stuck her onto a tree branch. So now again, forsake your humanity, Evan. Use the MB. The next day, Kermit does a great job rage-baiting Evan by mentioning all the stuff he said to his mom, and ignoring any of Andy's attempts to ask questions about his newest mixture. It's time for step 1 of the plan. Evan pulls a chocolate bar out of his backpack and starts eating it loudly, Kermit's favorite. He finally takes notice and asks for a piece. Step 2. While distracted, Andy pulls a glob of MB out of her can and flings it into Kermit's newest mixture. Kermit never notices as he goes back to stirring. Now what? Slowly they wait, then it begins to grow. The weird yellow dough boils over the top of the bowl. At first, Kermit's excited, but when it gets as tall as he is, he gets scared. Evan and Andy love it, but to be honest, it's almost the size of the entire basement. How far could this go? And then the dough ball explodes. Pieces fly everywhere, and Kermit's trapped under a heap of it. When they get him out, Andy mentions how something must have made it explode, so Kermit asks what she put in it while he wasn't looking. He wants to know because the explosion was awesome. Seems the revenge has failed, and Kermit's gonna tell Aunt Dee this was all Evan's fault. Kermit starts flinging dough at Evan for fun, and while he tries to dodge, Evan slips and falls down hard. Then he feels weird. He's tingling, and he shuts his eyes from the pain. He opens them to see Andy and Kermit looking up at him. He's growing! He's about 8 feet tall now with a booming voice. It seems when the explosion happened, he was eating some candy. His mouth was open, the dough got in there, and now the MB is in him. Kermit thinks it's fun and wants to eat some too, but after Evan threatens to squash him like a bug, he finally listens. He starts growing a bit more, having to stoop under the 9-foot-tall ceiling. He needs to get out, but he keeps growing. Andy suggests the stairs, and it's more of a confidence problem than a size problem. With Kermit upstairs and Andy down, they help him move up, and about a third of the way out, he's stuck. Something starts to crack. The entire wall to his left crumbles, and he manages to squeeze out of the basement. He flies out of the kitchen and into the backyard. At this point, he's almost as tall as the garage, and they have no idea how to fix this. Just then, he hears Conan harassing some kids with a baseball bat. Evan grabs the thing and snaps in two, scaring the hell out of the kids and leaving Conan jaw-dropped. Conan accuses him of eating the MB and laughs about it because now he's a big nerd. Evan stomps on Conan's fence and grabs him before he can run away. Conan screams from his fear of heights and is left crying when Evan leaves him stuck to a tree branch this time. So forget all of the terror for a moment. The thrill of inflicting pain is awesome, so now Evan wants to do more fun stuff. When he steps forward though, he hears a crunch. Oh no, you squashed Andy! Well, that would be one of the most disturbing yet amazing twists in a Goosebumps book yet. These are for kids, so we can't have that. If you want something tragic, watch The Walton Files. He actually crushed Conan's skateboard, no biggie. Evan starts to walk on the busy streets, causing cars to nearly crash. He even steps on one, which is thankfully empty, so I guess he's got to be a little bit more careful now. At a playground, Evan helps free some kid's kite, and he's called a superhero. Andy makes sure to mention that in the comics you never see superheroes get paid, so that's off the table. Now it's time for the softball diamond, because these cool kids never let Evan play on their team, but now that he's 2 stories tall, please join my team! Somehow the pitcher manages to reach Evan after a few tries, and not only that, but Evan also manages to hit the ball, soaring it a few blocks away. Everyone's laughing and carrying on, and then some sirens ring out. Firefighters flanked by Conan. There he is! Get him! Everyone's confused, but Conan points out Evan as the one who destroyed the house and attacked him. Police cars appear with a man and a woman, pointing Evan out as the one who crushed a car in the street. Well, now it's not looking good. The firemen and policemen all line up to talk to him like he's an alien, but he just introduces himself. The sirens, the pointing fingers, the eyes, it all starts to get to Evan's head. He yells for everyone to go away, and then the sirens turn off. He's gone violent! Bring him down! The fire hoses shoot full force. Evan runs through the people to get away, begging for the officers not to shoot. He runs through the street as the sun sets, thinking of where he could possibly hide. He makes it close to Kermit's house again, finding a house under construction with an enormous pile of lumber, so he ducks behind that. As soon as he starts to relax, got him! It's Kermit. He calls out to Andy and she comes over as well. Kermit thinks this whole thing is like a movie and really fun, but it's clearly not. It's a miracle the police haven't shot him on sight like usual. So what could they possibly do? Well, Andy scratches her arm, and now Evan knows exactly what to do. That blue mixture before that shrunk the bite, it's gotta work. Disregard the whole disappearing thing, maybe the size reduction will even out. Kermit mentions a lot of stuff got wrecked, so who knows if the little bit left is even there. They make their way over to Kermit's and Evan has to duck outside behind the house. It takes forever, but Kermit finally shows up with the stuff. A little droplet gets poured on Evan's hand, but then there's none left. Evan starts to pout, but Kermit says he'll go back in to make another batch. He thinks he has the right stuff to make it, so here's to hoping. Andy goes in as well to clean stuff up to mitigate Evan's punishment, and it's almost time for his parents to come home. Kermit runs out surprisingly quickly with a fresh batch, and he pours it all over himself, except for his clothes, which, why are his clothes growing in the first place? The change begins, but it's not what we expected. His entire body turns blue. It also gives Evan the hiccups. Kermit's scared shitless of retaliation, so he runs away saying he can make a new one. A new bottle, and yet again, he puts it everywhere. The tingling starts. It's working. No, it isn't. He looks down to see he's now covered in feathers. Failure to shrink him aside, these mixtures are scientific marvels, to be fair. He thinks this can't get any worse, and then a policeman pulls up. Well, if they didn't shoot him on sight before, they might now. Kermit's back making his third attempt, and the policemen are slowly making their way to the front door. Kermit storms outside to deliver the new one, and the policemen pick up speed. He spreads it everywhere, and nothing happens. As soon as the policemen reach them, Evan hears a loud pop, and immediately shrinks back to normal. How it fixed his featherness and blueness, we will never know. But the policemen ask about a giant kid, and they all lie and say they didn't see shit. After they leave, the kids all celebrate, happy that Kermit's somewhat genius intellect saved the day. When Aunt Dee makes it home, all the kids say today was pretty boring. At night, Evan has nightmares as usual, but he wakes up and needs to get a glass of water. He looks down over the bed and it's a big drop. Oh no, he's still shrinking. His dog Trigger makes his way over to the bed hearing Evan squeak and puts him in his mouth. Trigger walks into Mom and Dad's bedroom and shows them his new toy. So that was Monster Blood 3. Will this cliffhanger be resolved like how the last one never was? Who knows? We only have to wait until the last book of the original series. This book ultimately saved itself from being another boring one. Probably my favorite of the Monster Blood so far. While the constant trend of Kermit screwing with him until Evan finally uses the MB is annoying, I really like the last bit where Evan stomps through the town, nearly killing people or himself. It's good that we're still finding ways not to make the MB just a blob again, yet, judging by the cover for 4, I don't know what the hell Stein's thinking there. No episode for this one, so I'll see you all in 2 weeks for a terrifying trip under the sink?